Alrighty, guys, what's going on? We're going to be going over the trades for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Okay, so Wednesday, what do we have? We had a couple stocks on watch. My ideal watches were going to be MRNA, which is Moderna. That's a healthcare sector stock. And then uh, we had Moderna, and then we had what was the other one? Oh, Marvel. Okay, so we had Moderna, Marvel. First of all, we're gonna go over and look at the plan. The overall plan, I'll break down the intraday structure, the intraday trade that I was looking to take, and then, like I said, the overall plan. We're gonna go here to Moderna, and I've been eyeing up this setup on Moderna for quite some time, guys. And what this setup is on Moderna is it is a falling wedge. The lower lows are getting extremely weaker as we move forward, and we're kind of falling into this, it's almost like a 2 year long, it's over a 2 year long demand zone and massive support, right? So, uh, this isn't necessarily good to anticipate a bottom off of. What you normally want to do is you want to start seeing that accumulative look or that, general strong price action. Um, through your daily chart, through your hourly chart, and overall just stronger sentiment, right, guys? So, one thing that I really noticed about this one was this was a false breakout, guys, with a massive breakout over the morning on the daily falling wedge potential breakout, but that also is kind of upper in the upper part of the wedge rather than the lower part of the wedge, where we're kind of seeing this general demand zone being accumulated off of. So ideally, buyers are going to build a position at this bottom, and there could potentially be a false breakout on a stock like MRNA with not a ton of daily liquidity, not a ton of daily average volume on the stock itself. There's not always going to be that buy side liquidity that's going to send it with a massive breakout opportunity on the first breakout potential of the falling wedge. So you guys got to remember a lot of daily trend lines, a lot of things like that, you can't trust them to trend all day. If there's going to be a big impulsive move right off the morning with market makers really pushing that above the ask buy, then that's not necessarily a healthy rally. That's more and less of an artificial parabolic rally. Therefore, when we fall back into that price range and you see those bids start to fall and really, bids being pulled, asks moving up, then that could be a potential false breakout of the falling wedge right here, and then the day can end up trending downwards for the most of the morning, and then end up, the daily print closing right back under resistance, which would be this general range that we were looking at right here, right? So that was a false breakout, and that's going to result in a lower low to come, or at least an equal low and back into reaccumulation, right? If buyers are going to build a position to the upside, they're going to be, a buy test up here for a breakout. That breakout's going to have a lot of supply behind the breakout, therefore bids are going to be pulled, and then the stock is going to fall further down and start accumulating more and more and more. Does that make sense? I think I explained that pretty well. So then we start getting this, like I said, massive false breakout. There was also news on this one. So there was news on mRNA that uh, more news. I believe there was mRNA news that literally was about how they're doing business in China. So that is a massive thing to really look at in this range of accumulation down here, guys. It's a massive thing to look at in this range of accumulation. Now, I could have swung trade this and had a good risk to reward out of this weekly demand zone off of this equal low. I could have done that, but my overall edge as a trader is to really analyze intraday price action, analyze those gaps up, gaps down, and overall buyer and seller interest on a particular equity in the midst of the day or in the morning, whatever it may be. I'm not a big overnight exposure kind of guy, only whenever I really see the trade present itself. We actually nailed MRNA from here to here on weeklies for a swing for 175% a couple weeks ago. So, with that being said, we got the equal low, and then we get the inverted hammer. The inverted hammer is on low volume, but it's after a massive bearish spread with a body closing about 75% of the total high wick to low wick. It's kind of closing 75 percentile downwards, right? So the next bar after that with an inverted hammer and a failure to go lower could potentially scream accumulation and a continuation up. But keep in mind, guys, our edge as a trader isn't to necessarily trade the mid candle. So what is this, guys? This is a inside bar. If you're trading an inside bar and you're trading this impulsive move up to the upside, that's not necessarily going to be a very lucrative trade because you're trading the mid candle. You're trading the general range in which we were trading, the general let's just say, previous support here. This is kind of like a pivot. If you look at it from this perspective, you have your support, your double bounce, your false breakout of the falling wedge, followed by a massive bearish spread. That bearish spread then reaccumulates right into the weekly demand that was stretching back from all the way to 2021. Boom, inverted hammer, low volume. It seems like supply could really, really, really be exhausted off of that, but we don't know just yet, right? So this is your inside day breakout, and we kind of just floated above this inside day breakout level up here, right? So the next day after that, guys, was a very, very healthy digestion candle. So this move up was a very healthy spread, a very low open and a very high close. That's a very strong momentum looking day for Moderna itself. And then what do we get, guys? We get the digestion candle, what I was looking for exactly, right off the breakout range. And I told you guys this a lot. Um, this is a digestion candle right off of the trend line, but guess what, guys? This level over here, this we're playing right now with a massive daily pivot. This is your massive daily pivot, guys. We're kind of in the midst of trying to pivot to the upside. The first pivot, guys, was a false breakout. So this level doesn't necessarily hold a lot of weight, in my opinion, because not only did buyers send it up on a above the ask aggressive type of scenario for that particular day, but bids were also pulled and then asks got a little bit aggressive and then just buyers overall taking profits on this pop to 129. So just please keep that in mind. And it's also technically is following macro structure of higher low, and higher low, right? I'm sure that is a 618 retracement from local swing high to local swing low. It pretty much is. It extends a little bit above the golden pocket and then kind of looks like it fills this gap and then just heads back down. So not a big deal with that one, guys. The markets were also a little bit weak for the time being on that massive false breakout level. So you need to understand the context behind the level, okay? And you need to understand the context of, are we accumulating? Are buyers really interested in this asset down here? And off of this digestion candle, that is technically called my signal bar. Now there's going to be an entry bar, and that entry bar could be a bit different, but overall, guys, that signal bar is what really told me to go long. Now, what did I notice about Moderna? What did I see? 124.50. That's our breakout level now because that's that point in which we had that highest looking point, guys. And then from there on out, like I said, we had major room to the upside past that uh, previous high, which is right here. So our next high is up closer to the ranges of the false breakout, guys. If you want to go into the 15, I was marking out my price targets on the 15. I don't exactly know what my price targets necessarily were, but I was generally, guys, just targeting the overall demand or supply range of wick from high to body or to wick of the low before we really, plummeted. And I was getting very, very, very cautious in these upper ranges of 127 or higher, just to give myself, a little bit of leeway and really secure those bigger gains before Moderna obviously reversed. And one thing that I noticed, guys, about Moderna is a stock that doesn't have a very liquid order book, and it more or less just moves on market MMs or institutions, whatever you want to call it, buying above the ask, selling below the bid. There's a lot of aggressive orders that really push this stock. So whenever I see a base on it and then I see something successfully hold, I do expect either, slight bids to move up as well as market makers potentially purchasing above the ask in an environment like this where we're at a falling wedge breakout, we're above the previous high day, we're basing, so overall we could see a general squeeze, right? So that's what I was eyeing up on this trade, guys. And if you go over to the Discord, I've been talking about this. I want you guys to learn how to execute rather than just simply trade based off of, my alerts. I want you to see these setups. I want you to see these things. And I posted this plan literally the night before, right, guys? So if we go here, mRNA pop into open, that's the first thing that I was really seeing with this one. You get this massive momentum candle right above the falling wedge trend line and right into the previous high day, right? So you go over to the Discord, mRNA pop and open. That was 1 minute before market open, 124.50 is the spot. I even threw in general a small picture of my position being up like 10% before it ran 120%. But I wanted to see if you guys would execute this, and I actually had several people execute this properly. So here's 124.50 guys, and when you really zoom into like the intraday analysis, you get this pop off the open, you get the retest down that looks like a call, that looks like a small call shakeout, or just a retest of this pivot of the previous day, double top resistance, whatever it may be, and then we push up, and then guys, when we push up like this, we get a nice push above, and then just a general base with declining volume right into the level. Now, one thing that I'll say about this trade, guys, is the spreads were a little bit bad, but that's all right. And another thing that I would really like to mention about bull flag breakouts is that this volume got really, really weak, guys. When the volume gets really, really weak and the spread really diminishes, all you necessarily want to look for, guys, is a break of structure on a very, very minuscule time frame, like a 1 minute or a two, whatever you prefer. Even a five, if you're patient enough, can really work for you. So, my risk to reward on this trade was I sized in off these lows actually because I was reading active tape for the time being. Whenever I started to see this trying to break out of the flag on higher volume, as you can see at 10:10, and then you get this digestion above VWAP, but it's also breaking structure, then that means that that's really giving me the go ahead to potentially take that long trade, risk VWAP or risk 124.50, whatever it may be. Keep your stop loss a little bit tighter with the considering the bid to ask spread is so wide. And overall, this just looked like a perfect breakout opportunity type of trade. It didn't really see that massive pop off of the news piece that we got a couple days prior to whenever the false breakout happened. And yeah, it was overall just a very, very, very good higher time frame alignment type of trade. I also believe on the daily that we really, once you really see that this bases above previous wick highs on flat volume, kind of like an inside bar here, this is more than likely going to break out being in the environment that it is in due to the higher time frame alignment. Obviously, active tape throughout the day. I've seen some big things happen, and then what I ideally saw was, a break in a base and a 5 minute candle close above this level on that kind of volume, 1025, right above the 15-minute orb high, which would be this wick technically up here, as well as our swing high, as well as a break of structure. I'm holding this for at least a test up into that range above 127, like I said. And then once if you want to take a precautionary steps to really execute the trade properly, you'll start to scale out into a loss of momentum with volume increasing, guys. But then you kind of just get this spinning top looking candle on matching volume. Effort and result are not equaling each other. Therefore, you should be scaling out of the trade and securing most of your profits and then leaving a stop limit a trailing stop on your runners if you're going to be taking, runner runners for something higher. But I understand MRNA and I trade it, so I really understood, I shouldn't be greedy with this one. The contracts ran 120%, guys, so it wasn't anything that I was really greedy on. We also had our 50 SMA right here on the daily itself, so that was another thing to really keep in mind. Whenever you really, look at, say we cancel out this candle, we're just looking at these ones. Do you see how the volume pocket was also kind of big around this 126 range? Well, it kind of drops off a little bit, but I'm not a big volume pocket kind of guy. It just seems like we had POC kind of sitting like right at that breakout range. So you don't want to be necessarily super, super, super greedy when it comes to things like that, guys. Price doesn't move exactly extremely fluently through those ranges. So just be very, cautious. This is also the point in which the macro structure, they're going to be putting in a higher low from here to here, especially off the 50 SMA. And you never want to really just anticipate a massive parabolic breakout on a stock like MRNA. So that's that, guys. That's the MRNA trade. We'll move on to the next one. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit all these in at once because I explained that trade for like 8 hours. Um, So Marvel was the next one, guys. So we're gonna be or we were watching Marvel the day before, um, watching Marvel on the pullback. So my plan, guys, I remember my plan exactly. My plan was a pullback and a retest of 62. This was on Wednesday, so this was right here. Yeah, so 62. Where am I getting this level from? Where is it stemming from? Where is it stemming from? It's stemming from a false break, resistance up here, generally speaking, and then we break down and we get a retest right here, and then we see 3 days of blood after before we pivot back up, and then from there on out we got this general same range of resistance. This is also the $62 psych, so I want you guys to understand that on the order book, in terms to market makers de-hedging off a uh, particular levels that correlate with the options chain itself, whatever it may be, guys. Um, the thing that I was really watching was a retest of 62 bucks, which was this pivot right here. This was also a swing high, a double top swing high the days prior, and then it just didn't look like it because we got that rally in the close and close above. So this was a very, very key level, as you could see. And then what happened, guys, was we gapped up majorly. And then we got the shooting star candle right off the high at 9:30, right off the open. And then generally speaking, just a lower volume sell-off on the 15. You go over to the 5s, you see the same exact thing. Generally speaking, just a lower volume sell-off, guys. And then you start to get these higher lows coming in, which are preliminary stops to really take that supply out of the market, and buyers are starting to get a little bit present with this double bottom with the hammer candles, and then from there on out sellers extend the lower low structure all the way down into the $62 level, $62 level. I actually saw a big order come in and fill at the bid, I believe, on this bearish looking candle. So I really started to analyze the accumulation within the bearish looking spread, and then we get the stopping volume candle right after that. Now I'm looking for a change of character, guys. So there has nothing to do with necessarily just longing based off of this signal. There's no signal to long. We're looking for a change of character. We're looking for bids to step up. We're looking for sellers to really get exhausted and fail to put in a lower low. Now, what happened, guys? Get the retest, stopping volume right here, higher lows across the board, break of structure. So here's your break of structure. So here's your highs. It's kind of like your pivot. So that's your stopping volume candle. Then you get a little bit more of a dip add, reaccumulation, secondary higher low. That's exactly what I was looking for. Um, but I was patient with it, guys. So I took this at 12.17. Not the best time to take a trade, but I took this trade right here for a higher low. So that's what I was saying. I said secondary higher low, entry out of demand, sniped. So now I'm locked in with a good risk to reward. This is like a 3 day till expiration position, so it's not too volatile. And then I'm doing my risk to reward calculation. Here's my stop loss. It's this low a day. That's a 15-cent stop loss. Let's just say my entry might have not been the wick low, but it might have been like this one, 16-cent stop loss. Take profit, guys. It's going to be either that pre-market low pivot, which is matching up with this general pivotal higher low range. But overall, guys, with the fact that this sell-off had extremely low pressure at the end of it, and it really stemmed from no pressure, meaning up at the upper ranges, then I'm looking for a general reversal, considering the fact that Marvel's been a really strong name, and another thing was Nvidia was running. This is a semiconductor company, guys. Marvel Technologies is a semiconductor company technically. Nvidia was actually seeing a nasty breakout this day as well, and I noticed Nvidia's strength really start to pick up when I was getting into this Marvel trade, as well as Marvel just being that general lagger. The overall industry, guys, you want to see it stay strong or gain strength, gain momentum throughout the day. So that's that. My risk to reward, guys, was probably a 4-to-1, a 3-to-1 minimum, I'd say easily on this trade. Um, and that's what it was, guys. So I sniped the higher low, and I'm going to let this play out. So I sniped this at 12.17. That was this candle. It was like I honestly, guys, probably got in like right here, because I expected it to be a little bit more aggressive, but it wasn't necessarily. So that was my entry. That was my signal for the entry. Um, it was a pretty good risk to reward. I saw these candles wicking up, closing above previous candles, and then from there on out, guys, once I saw this bar close and break structure above this stopping volume high, that's whenever I said, okay, yeah, I'm gonna, look for another potential add on this one and just go long, hold it up to VWAP, uh, VWAP, golden pocket retracement, whatever it may be. I'm looking for something decent on this one. So that's where we started to get to turbulence, the golden pocket retracement, and would you look at that, guys? I mean, we got our first real rejection that looks sketchy, which actually wasn't sketchy right here off the golden pocket, 0.50, which is also this like order block looking lower high bloodbath. So as well as VWAP, so it makes sense to scale out there. I'm pretty sure actually, guys, that was my target. So long position, sniped a higher low entry out of demand, saw the change of character, saw the bids moving up. Let's just say it was let's just say it was like right here, like 20-cent stop. I'll even be generous. I'll be flexible. That's still a 3.6 to 1 risk to reward ratio, guys. So yeah, I mean, there's really not much to. And then what do we do, guys? As you really analyzing the trade, going throughout the day, we claim this intraday pivot right here with a push up above. The push up above wasn't on any kind of crazy volume, but overall with the momentum and asks not being the ask side not being super liquid, I'm not too worried about it, as well as it being noon. So noon, I don't like trading, guys, but it was overall just a good risk to reward trade. You reclaim the pivot, you retest, you bounce for the higher low, and we were just making higher lows literally the whole entire time. We never broke structure at once. We actually had a parabola. We had a very nice candle here on 50,000 volume. And then from there on out, guys, it was kind of just a refill of that imbalance, a hammer candle push, and then a continuation even a little bit higher above VWAP. So I was pretty much out of the most of my position. I was taking profits here at this high, so this general range, and then I took some profits here at the golden pocket retracement. And then from there on out, guys, it was just a very smooth, clean, slow moving trade, which I love. So that was my plan actually for Marvel. If you go over to the watch list, I'll even show you how that was my plan. Um, Marvel was right. Oh, here it is. Pullback range I'm looking is from 62 to 61.46. Ideally, only want to be long break and base above 62 for a move to 63.50. Now, 63.50, guys, is my flex target. We got the 63 psych. I'm completely okay with that. And then obviously the next day we got 63.50 and 64 actually. So those are my trades for Wednesday. Probably gonna make a new video for the Thursday and Friday trades since I explained MRNA for so long. So um, yeah, I'll see you in the next one.